that most times that is a route people who want to go into nursing use. Um, which I understand, but you should know that at this point, if your age, the age bracket with you coming to do your first degree in US doesn't match, I bet you might get admission, but you still be bounced at the embassy. Talking about going for a visa, that is also another topic that we can talk about. Because tell me, you can get all the funding in the world, you get to the embassy, and then you'll be bounced. So after getting the school, after going to every, it's not the stress is not even about the school, it's about getting the visa. Um, so if you find yourself, sometimes you find yourself above like 25 onwards, and you are going for a first degree in US, trust me, it will be so hard to get in because that age bracket doesn't really match like 25, and you're now going to do your bachelor's, but that's also another topic for another day. And also build a smart school list. Build a smart school list. You just apply to one school. Don't ever apply to just one school. Apply to so many schools that you can. And someone asked me, how are you going to pay for all the application fee? There's a way to go about it. Some of the schools offer what we call the information session, right? Information session is it's something that they hold like once in a while, either for the general school, departmental based, and other stuff. That is what they do. When you join these sessions, some of them automatically you qualify for application fee waiver. So if you join their sessions and you are done, they take your name, and then when you email them that you are applying, they automatically give you an application fee waiver. Some of the universities you can email them and then you ask them, is there a way that I could get application fee waiver? Some of the schools can give you. I know Ball State, I still have like the code to Ball State University. I asked them specifically, and they gave it to me. So when you get there, you input that code, it takes away the $70 that you have to pay. So there are so many schools out there that can give you free they can give you an application fee waiver. It depends on how you do it, right? Now, how do you research schools? That is the program website, the faculty profiles and funding pages. Before I end, I just want you to know that the best way, right? The best way to, stand among, because you are not the only person applying to these schools, trust me, you're not the only person applying to these schools. One of the things I would love you to do is that any school that you identify, you go on their website, their general website, you identify the course or the program you want to study. Find the director of that's the director of the program. Find the director of the program, and then introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. Sometimes the way of introducing yourself is finding it in a nice way, asking them if there are funding opportunities. Trust me, this is not Africa, this is US. That is their job. Their role is to make sure that they get the information out there. When you send them an email, trust me, they are surely going to reply you. Just send them an email. Hey, my name is this. I have this is you just tell them a bit about yourself, what you do, what you have done, and you email to inquire about funding, just introduce yourself, and then in a nice way put in the funding if there's funding, because some of the program website they'll tell you generally they offer funding, but trust me, it's not all departments, it's not all schools that offer funding. So if you specifically email the director is going to tell you whether they offer funding or not. And you wouldn't want to put in all that stress, and at the end of the day, there's no funding for a program, because trust me, you can't, unless your parents are very, very rich, you cannot pay for it. You cannot pay $8,000 plus every semester. And just so you know, even if you're able to, if even if you come to campus and you get a job to do, you can't work outside campus. You only have 20 hours on campus. And how many schools out there are going to offer you a job to do for the semester? And we are talking about between $11 to $15 per hour for 20 hours. That's what we are looking at. How much are you going to get to pay your fees, pay your rent, buy food? No. So funding is very, very, very important when you are researching your schools. Funding is very, very, very important. I won't stress on that, because we've seen people come here and they have really struggled to make it. You end up with a lot of issues here and there, sleeping here. No, you don't want to go through that stress. others have made it possible by getting funding and being here, and they can sleep, wake up, come to school. You don't want to be in school and be thinking about how your class is going to be cancelled, how you're going to pay for next semester. No, you are not one of the things you don't just get here and start working. No, one thing you have to know is that you are not allowed to work outside campus. You're not allowed to work outside campus. And trust me, the most summer you don't even have any opportunity to work if you don't get internship or you don't do your CPT. So that is a good that people do. You still want them because US provide lots of opportunities. Um, yeah, so I've already spoken about how to beat application fees. Join the information session. Join the information sessions that they have. Most of them, when you go to their website, when you go to events, those things are listed there. You can go through, sign up with your name, your email, and then they'll notify you. You join the information. I know university for does that. I don't know about how university, but a couple of schools also do that. Some schools you can just message the international office and then they'll give you the code. Some will ask you to buy the reason why you want the application fee waiver. And if you provide by telling them, okay, because you have applied for so many schools and other things, they are willing to give it to you. So that is how to beat application. Because it's 70, the least I've seen is like 55. So for 55, 65, 70, some are as high as $120. Some are even more than that. So you need to strive high to not to beat the application fees. Some of the schools offer it like throughout. You just have to message the right person. When you go on a school website, it doesn't take a lot. Just type a simple message to either the international office, the program director, asking, making inquiries about what you need to do. I don't want you to apply, and at the end of the day, you don't have the school is telling you they don't provide funding. No, funding is very key, right? So I guess a lot of you have questions. The school, I'm sure Richard is with me, and he will talk about applications and other stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
so thank you for all those sending their reactions in. If we may have the second presenter, now we can open up for Q&A, please.
All right, yeah, sure. I can talk if that's okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Okay, cool. Hello everyone. Thanks for joining this session, and I believe that at the end of the session, everybody will go home with one or two things on as far as your journey abroad is concerned. So you may have heard, my name is Richard Mensah. I also finished the Ghana Institute of Journalism. Had my undergrad there, and then I came to Iowa State to do my master's. Then I'm at the University of Tennessee to
ask questions, and they take it from there.
Oh, okay. So I must say that I always tell people who reach out to me that if you have to embark on this journey, just tell yourself that you want to give yourself 1 year to go through this process, because sometimes it is tiring, it is disappointing, and sometimes you lose motivation in doing it. But if at the end of the day, you are able to give yourself 1 year, which means that even when the disappointments come, you can defer, you can rebound back, and then you can proceed. So in this journey, first thing first, before you have to embark on this journey looking for school and all that, there are things that you need to put together. The first thing you need to put together is Sam. But are you recording this session so that maybe you can share later?
Yes, please. So we are live on Facebook, so the recorded session.
So the Facebook Live will be deleted after some days. So maybe if we can record again, that will be fine. But
yes,
other than that, that's fine.
So it's in twofold. It's being recorded as well on the local PC, and then we are streaming live as well.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So I at the end of the day, the first thing you want to do is that while you dream of studying abroad, you have to also make sure that at least you work on your undergrad, right? Because you are also applying to the same school, maybe globally, everyone is applying to. So making sure that you better your undergraduate degree is very important. It doesn't mean that it's only first class people or second class upper people are those that have the chance to study abroad, but it also puts you on the competitive edge such that if we have to make a decision on limited funding, at least when it comes to qualification or grade, you have passed through that stage and then they can look at the next stage. So the first thing that I will mention that if you are planning to come and study abroad is to work on your transcript. In working on your transcript, I believe that a lot of you have graduated or have had your first degree already. So it's not now that you are going to be going back to school to go and have your first degree done. So the first thing is you have to have your transcript and your certificate. There are some schools, once you graduate, you have your certificate and your transcript. There are some schools too, once you graduate, you have to wait maybe a month or a few days later to have it. But I know people from Nigeria sometimes transcripts and sending it to schools abroad sometimes takes longer, because I have a friend and who have to go through a whole lot of challenges in having their transcripts sent from their school to the schools abroad here or in the US or in Canada here. So depending on the country you live and depending on how fast your institution can process your transcript and your certificates, you have to make sure that you process those things or have those things on standby, because when you are applying, that will be the first thing you'll be looking forward to put into the upload into the system, not certificate, because mostly transcripts tell the schools the courses you've taken during your undergrad. It also tells what kind of grade you had and how that prepares you for the course you are going to pursue. That is for those who are coming to do master's. But for those who are doing undergrad, then you may want to have your high school certificate. Depending on the country you are, the higher school certificate, that is what you have. If you are from Ghana or Nigeria, you need to have your WASI certificate if you want to come and do your undergrad in the US. But if you are coming to do your master's, your PhD, if you are coming to do your PhD, you may your master's, your undergrad, or your MPhil certificate. So any highest form of education that you have, that you are looking forward to do the top up, that's what you have to look forward to get those things ready. And so it's not for me to now be telling you to get a passport, but yeah, as part of the document, you need to have a passport. Traveling passport is things that you'll be asked to upload when you are trying. So what to do is that when you get documents ready on the name is education abroad, then have them in PDF. Your passport, there is a way you have to scan your passport. The first page and then the second page, just open it and then snap your bio page and then the other page, because the schools want to see the other empty space, but not all the empty space, just the page that follows your bio data page. So you open it like that, like an A4, you scan it. Then you scan your transcript, you scan your certificate. Then the next thing is for you to work on your CV. Now, CV alone is a lot of work, because sometimes it sells you and sometimes can also cause your rejection. Sometimes schools are looking for individuals who have done some form of research, and schools are also looking for some individuals who have had some form of teaching. I always tell people that throughout your 4 years stay in your university, haven't you been a TA? Not everybody happens to be a TA. Haven't you lead your group work? Haven't you done anything? Or even after school, didn't you see anyone in your community to kind of impart or to say you have some teaching experience, just to have it on your CV? Because at the end of the day, when you come as a master student or when you come as a PhD student, you'll be given a class to teach. In some schools, people teach a standalone class. In some schools too, people are becoming a TA for mainstream professors. So the school want to see some form of these things on your resume, that hey, I am good in teaching and I am good in research. Almost everyone who has finished school, except those who did double major, have done some form of undergrad, right? actually undergrad, have done some form of dissertation or thesis, so undergraduate dissertation or thesis. So what I want you to do is to just make sure you demonstrate this ability that, look, during my undergrad, I've done my first thesis on this topic. That's why throughout undergrad, you'll be doing certain form of project. So mention this on your resume, and then also make sure that you have some form of teaching skills on your resume. All right, that gives you that edge that research you qualify, teaching you qualify. Then the next thing they will be looking forward is, what are the other things that you've done? Some schools will ask you to have your resume on only like 2-page resume. So you have to make sure to know what is relevant and what is not relevant. Then you take it out of it. So if you have done some form of thesis during your undergrad, please highlight it on your resume. If you have done some form of teaching, be it teaching assistant, or you have taught some people in your community, or you are those kind of people that teach your landladies, your siblings, just state that you teach this number of kids, or you have this number of kids that you teach basic computing, reading, or literacy skills. So they know that at least you have those experience. All right. So you have research experience, you have teaching experience, and then the rest of the things can follow. We can talk about how to prepare your CV for grad school. So your certificates, your passport, your resume, or your CV, and then there are those that schools that will require you to add writing sample. Now, a lot more times people ask me, what is writing sample? Writing sample is basically your dissertation or any projects that you've done during your undergrad. If you are going for PhD, you may be required to upload your master's thesis or your MPhil thesis or your whatever research you've done. Now, there are times that people also do not have writing sample. So I always tell people that, look, haven't you done any project in school that require you to show some form of, let's say, people did capstone, right? Capstone means that you only did like a proposal from chapter 1 to chapter 3, and you didn't collect data. Find out if you have any of these, and then make sure that it falls within the page limit. There are those who also have, more than required page limit, because your thesis can be 50 pages and the school only wants 20 pages. Probably they want you to demonstrate method rigor and then demonstrate literature review, because when you come, sometimes you may be a teaching assistant or a research assistant or administrative assistant. So the writing sample is basically about your thesis or your capstone projects that you've done over the years, and then you may be asked to also upload that. They just want to see your expertise or things you've done over the years and how that qualifies you for grad school. But if you are coming for undergrad, you don't need a writing sample. Some schools may ask you to write some essays and all that, but that is school differ from school to school. Another thing that you'll be asked to do is to provide statement of purpose. Some schools call it statement of intent. Some schools call it, like every school and how they want to refer to that. But I always tell students that you also have to look into the person you are looking forward to probably work with. If that person is going to be your advisor or your, instructor or someone you want to TA with before, because earlier Faya talked about researching the schools and building all that. Before you do all these things, before you go and write your statement of purpose, you may have done your research, you may have known a professor who you want to follow, and then when you want to put that into your statement of purpose, then you can put that. There are some schools who also require you to upload bank statement, but if a school is asking you to upload a bank statement right at the stage of applying, sometimes it's good, but other times it's challenging because it's not everybody who have access to bank statement. But when you admit people, before they will go and look for bank statement. So if you ask the person from the application stage to upload bank statement, it's just difficult. So sometimes we can avoid those schools. But if you have the bank statement, just upload it, because they evaluate your application at once, and once you qualify, then they issue your I-20. That is if you are coming to the US. But if you are going to Canada and other places, the process too is different. So you may have these like I call them primary documents. Some schools may have specific things that they may ask you to do. One thing I've noticed on this process is that some schools that give full funding will also ask you to evaluate your transcript. I've seen that a lot of people who evaluated their transcript were able to gain full funding. But other times too, if you don't have money for evaluation of transcript, don't force yourself doing it. At the end of the day, also look out for schools do not require for transcript evaluation. But it also doesn't mean that once you evaluate your transcript, it's automatic that you are going to get funding. Sometimes the schools becomes, very stretched as far as funding is concerned. So you may evaluate your transcript, but you are still not going to get funded. So a lot of these things, there are a lot of strategies involved in this whole process. So within the 1 year or the 2 year ahead of you that you are planning to study abroad, you may want to have all these things understood. You just do not wake up one day and say, I want to travel the next, month. Sometimes it can work because some people are very fortunate. They just apply to school and then boom, they get admission and then they also get dates. But as far as US journey is concerned now, even you can be admitted for the fall this year, but you may not get a date because currently there are dates on and off, so you may not get a date and you have to defer. So those are a lot of things that you have to do. You have to know whether the school is admitting on rolling basis. Rolling basis means that the school is admitting for summer, winter, and they don't have end to admission. That's when you apply, and based on the time you choose, then the school can evaluate your application document against that. So you really have to do that and then have understanding of the whole process before you start putting in your application. One thing that I tell students to do is that LinkedIn is one of the things that you may never know, but I work close to some professors now, and I realized that even when they were evaluating my PhD application, I noticed there are individuals from other institutions that were viewing my LinkedIn profile. So you may think that you are only an undergrad student, but social media have become one of the biggest things that you can use it now to sell yourself or to deprive yourself of opportunity. So I always tell people that, you know what, that project you are doing, that assistance you are providing in your community, that little thing you are doing in your community, go to LinkedIn and start documenting it. If you have interest in following some professors and you have research about the school, take the professor's name, go to LinkedIn, go and send them connections. So one of the secrets is that if you are writing to a professor right now inquiring about funding, and then you realize that this professor was at this conference last month, just say, hey, Professor, I hope you are doing well. My name is this person, and I've been following you on LinkedIn, and I watch or I read how your recent conference or presentation that you made at this place. I also have interest in this area, and I'm wondering if you guys are admitting international students and if there are funding in this time, whether spring or summer or based on the time you apply. If somebody knows that you follow them and you're able to remember what they do, they become excited. Whoa, this is a serious student. So those are some of the things. I always advise people that make sure that at least if it is only Facebook that you have, follow the people that you think that will sometimes make a decision for you. Sometimes people are those that decide on your application. And somebody might say that, I think it's a good step. And sometimes somebody just have to go to LinkedIn to see the interesting things you are doing. And then they can, make a decision on your behalf. So those are the things that we need to know. I mean, it's a lot, but at least I can have these basics. And if I also have a website that people can go and filter schools beyond using AI and all that. And I think that it will be bigger to talk about in this session, but maybe I can talk about maybe one of the sites that you can go filter for school information, because sometimes even searching for the school online becomes very difficult because you only have to go to Google, but Google will not give you sometimes all the schools. So one of the sites that I always advise people that if filter schools give you country by country basis, and you can filter and see funding, but it doesn't mean that all the information there are 100% because they do not update it constantly, but at least it gives you a go-to area to look for schools. I'm going to drop the link in the chat session, but the site name is IDP. I'm going to share that quickly in the chat so that everybody can open it, because a lot more people will be asking, how do I look for the school, or how do I search for the school? So it is like maybe www.idpeducation.com. I can share my screen briefly and just show you how you can navigate that. Let me see if that works. But I dropped the link also. If people can open it. It's a lot of process, but if you can filter it, it works best. So let me see if I can share my screen quickly to show you that. But Abraham, I think you Fire, maybe you can be putting the questions together and all that, so that when I show this, then we can move ahead to address the questions.
Okay. Yeah. I think I wanted to stress more on the what Richard was saying, that your CV, if you've done anything, just put it in there. You see, when you are done with school, even before you start national service, sometimes it would just be nice for you to identify like a school that is very close to you. Just go there and tell them that, like, because I remember
Let me
it
just
came
share the
very
entire
handy.
screen. That way makes it easy.
It came very handy because I there was a school that was very close to me.
Sorry, but
I
can
just
we all
went
see
to,
this
okay.
website, the IDP website?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is the website that mostly I tell people that it's not 100%, but sometimes those who are starting to look for school, sometimes you go to Google and then sometimes people get scammed because they get schools that are not, like, some people are desperate. So you go and get schools that, or online, that schools that are fake and all that. So people are worried about that. And when I started this process, I also get worried because you don't know if this school is real or if this school is not real. So sometimes you get worried. But if you go to this website, it provides you an idea of few things, and you can explore, filter information and all that based on the country you want to go. So let's say all these places, you come to courses. If you come to courses, do you guys see the drop down? There's a drop down, like, if I click on courses, do you see the drop down? You see Australia, Canada, Ireland, and all that. So let's say the interest is to come to the United States. So you just have to click on United States, and then that will load. So that will load, and then that gives you all courses, and schools. But there are ways that you can also filter and check whether that schools give what funding, scholarship, or what is the requirement. You can check you see, you can also sort here by popularity, sort by subject. And if I want to do postgraduate, I'll just click on that and then it will filter. The site sometimes loads slowly, but when I filter, it also asks you which country. So I choose United States. But if I want to add other countries to it, I can also choose that. It also asks you whether you want to study online or in person, or you want to study. Some schools have extension to study abroad. So some schools in the United States have their campus in Dubai and all that. So you can filter. You just choose for study mode campus, and then if you have any place in mind, sometimes people say, "Oh, my aunties at this place, or my uncle live at this place, so I want to go and study at this city or this state." Then you can choose this city or this state, right? If you have any institution type in mind, you can click here, show all, and you see a lot of institutions. So you see Ball State, Urban University, Ancaster State. So here, and then if you come down here, you will see 28,480 results. And when I click here, it's going to take me through a lot of schools in the United States. Guys, this is a whole lot of database here that if you spend your day and your night filtering all this information, you are going to get a lot of schools or a lot of things that you may need. You don't need to sometimes ask somebody, is this school genuine or not? Or you see a lot of schools, and this is just one, and it continues up to over 2,000 schools. So this gives you an idea, and then you can even filter by scholarship. So this is just one of the websites. We can have another session that you can use AI and all that. But this is one of the websites that I tell people that if you don't have money to, tell somebody that I want to hire you to help me do it, then you can explore this website. There is also the scholarship section where you can go and just click on what you want to do. And the same process, you can filter, and then they will tell you which school or which program are there scholarship for, or there is no scholarship for. So, you have to go through by yourself and doing all these things. And then you can filter the countries, all right? You can filter the countries. If you click on the scholarship, and then based on your area, material science, accounting, aerospace engineering, and then you can filter the country so that if it is only in the United States you are focusing on, it gives you the United States. If you have a particular university, then you do that. But if you don't have any particular university, just choose the broader search stream, and then you can search. And I know a lot more than people ask about scholarship finding and all that. So this is just some of them. Beyond going to the school's website or knowing which schools to apply to, there are also other websites that we may talk about. But for now, this is just for the first day of our discussion. So I'll just end my presentation here because I see a lot of people may have a question, and then we can talk about that. So please, let's have conversation.
Thank you very much, Mr. And that was Mr. Richard.
You are muted, actually.
Oh. My apologies. Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was Mr. Richard Mensah, also a student in the Information and Communication Studies from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and we are happy to have you, Mr. Richard, share your insights in addition to Mr. Fire. Before I go into the chat box, I would like to also add up to what he said on documenting little and small wins. I believe that seated in all of us are archives, things that we volunteered for, things that we've done, and we see it so small. But it's actually not too small. It's very big. Please document every little volunteering in your CV. It is very important. No weight is too small. Celebrate the milestones you've achieved so far in attaining your career. So before I go the chat box, I see Mr. Fayaz will quickly take his, and then we can read out the questions so that it gets addressed. Fayaz, over to you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to stress on the teaching part where Richard said you should just find something doing so you can add it to your CV. Because I remember when I was done with my first degree, there was a school that was just very close to me. I just went to them, and then I was like, okay, I just want to teach these kids. Like I don't really need the money, because like I was just going in on, I think, Mondays and Wednesdays. I was just teaching one of the courses because and just volunteer, try and talk to the student, try and impact people's life, and just add it to, because I think that was one of the things that really helped me when I was applying to Purdue University, because we just started talking about teaching stuff, because that's the main thing. Just so that any position that you get here that has to do with teaching assistantship, trust me, as a master's student, when you come here, you teach. Most times, majority, you teach your own course. It's not like anybody is going to guide you. No, the expectation is for you to teach. Sometimes you might assist the professor, but most times you be your own. I taught for 2.5 years. So trust me, just go out there. The little time that you have at home doing nothing, I'm sure you have food to eat. Just go out there. If there's any school that is very close to you, please just talk to them. Let them give you a class to teach. Or if you have to just assist with something that you are so good at, that I want to let these students know. There are a lot of schools that are upcoming and they might need you. These schools that you are applying to are not going to go online to check whether the schools exist or not. It's your impact that matters. It's what you tell them that you know how to do. That is what they are going to get. And also searching for schools. Yes, Richard gave you the database, but trust me, if you know someone who is already schooling in the US, they will be the best people sometimes to ask them. They can list the schools down, because I know Richard went to Iowa. He got funding. I know he's in the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I know he got funding. So if you come and ask me and you want to do communication, these are the schools that I can list for. I can list Ball State. I can list Purdue University Fort Wayne. I can list Purdue main campus. I can list a couple of schools that I know that offer funding that I know before you can use the database. And when you find yourself in a school like Ohio University that has like a strong, African community, it also helps so that it gets boring sometimes, but I know like you'll be able to. So aside the document and aside finding schools, just get in touch with people. Don't feel shy. Don't feel like they are making it. No, nobody's making it here. We're all struggling. Trust me. But we are just living a day at a time. So I think that is one cent of advice that I'll give.
Yeah, I just want to add that one of the documents I didn't mention is recommendations. I mean, we can have a whole session on how to deal with recommendation, because I know people who lose funding or who lose admission because their recommenders are not willing to send their recommendation on time, and the admission window was over, so the school couldn't admit them. So while you are in school or while you have finished school, based on if you finish school for the past 2 years, they may still require you to get recommendation from your school. But maybe for the past 5 years, they may ask that get a recommendation from a professional recommendation where you are working. All right. So if you just finish school, please make sure that you build or you keep that connection with your either professors or with your school or your department or anyone you feel like would have an institution access to write a recommendation for you, because recommendation can make and unmake you. And I've seen instances where people do not get recommendation on time and then they didn't get offer, although they've done everything they had to do on their own. Sometimes so recommendation time become a time that professors, especially if you are from Africa or I know of West Africa, this is the time they also show their shoulders that, yeah, when you were in school, you don't respect me, you see me, you bypass, or after school, you don't check up on me and you are now calling me for recommendation. Imagine you leave school for the past 2 years, you haven't text hi or say happy birthday or nothing, or just check up. And then one day say, hello, sir, I am applying to this school, I need your recommendation. It's hard, people will not even reply to your email, people will not even reply to your text message, people will not even mind you. So I've been an advocate that schools should establish department where individual, because for the past 5 years, I can't be keeping in touch with my professor, right? So at least let's have some departments where like maybe people can come for recommendation or assessment. So try and build those networks. If you have done any community work and you think that those people can write recommendation for you, please keep in touch and then make sure that recommendation letters or recommend someone is able to write good recommendation about you, and then they will send it to the school. There is also how you can send your transcript. Sometimes the school asks you to upload your unofficial transcript, but sometimes the school only asks you to fill your education information and ask your school to send the transcripts to them. So that way they will provide processes that you can send your transcript to them. You have to understand how all these things work. Some schools will charge you to send your transcript. They will send it through either your National Postal Services. So I mean, these are the things that you need to be aware of. And then my recommendation is very key, because that is what they want to see, whether you are a person of good character before they really admit you in that department. So these are the things. And then Fire mentioned about teaching or research assistants. Don't get scared. Once you've been able to do an undergrad, when you get here, you will not struggle much, because definitely your department will give you some of the things to have a look on. Like you will also have the chance to talk to some graduate students who have been in your shoe before, so you'll be able to navigate through. All right. Some schools to program or select you for an interview. You must demonstrate that the things you have in your CV, even beyond that, you are able to say those things to win that position. So they differ from individual to individual, but these are general information. So we'll go ahead and then open the floor for a question. Aram.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Richard. Now, just to reiterate again that this is the first session of the Study Abroad Summit, and I would want to say that it's more of a general info session tonight. However, I would also plead with my speakers, if you may, in the chat box, just give highlights or maybe a list of the general documents that are needed. For instance, I do know that TOEFL and those IELTS exams are for specific schools, but something like transcript, university set, in certain instances, SHS certificate come in handy, recommendation letter, CV. Let's give few, whether 5 or 6 concrete documents. If you can list them in the chat box, that are more like cross cutting for every school you are applying. These documents are needed so that those who have not attempted in applying school outside can prepare these documents ahead, especially the fresh graduates that would listen or are listening to us across the globe. You see, a lot of them have not tried their hands on applying schools outside, so we want to give them a fair idea of some of the documents they might have to prepare down even before they go and scout for schools. Because sometimes I would want to say that in certain instances you do chance on the school when it is 2 days to the deadline, and I assure you, if you don't have these documents in place, it becomes a problem, especially if you've not gone for your transcript from your school and all of that. And I would also want to say that once you get all these documents, please do scan them and keep them as soft copies on your phone so that when you chance on the school, application become easier. So Mr. Richard or any of you can do that while I read the questions from the chat box. Just put the list of some general documents that are needed when applying for school in any country as well. Now, why we do that?
Yeah,
Let me go. Okay.
yeah, let me just add something quick. One of the things that I've also noticed is that when you are ready to do all these things, your email is also very important. People have very funny emails when they are using it to do official stuff. Please don't do that. You are applying to a school, it's your image that you are putting out there, right? So if you think that your email is funny, your email doesn't have your name, you know, every email, once it is sent, it has to come with your name. But if you have something, it doesn't sell you right. All right. These are people who will be making perception about you and all that. So if you think that your email doesn't look official, I would always say that let your emails be your name. So if you see my email, it is Richard Mensah. But because somebody already have Richard Mensah, so I cannot have Richard Mensah at gmail.com, right? So I have Richard Mensah 2731 at gmail.com. And my full name goes. So anytime I send an email, it goes with my name. That sells you better. Rather than using names or some funny names that the people will not want. And also naming your document is also important. So if you have your CV, just say CV underscore Richard underscore Mensah .pdf. So PDF will come. Passport underscore Richard underscore Mensah. Undergraduate transcripts underscore Richard underscore Mensah. Name your document that way. Sometimes I see people's document. You only scan your document with a scanner and then some weird name HEIC. Then you just send. The person have to download before they know that this is your transcript, this is your certificate, this is your passport. No, grad school require you, or education require you to be prepared and be smart. So almost all these little things, just consider doing it for your own best interest. Thank you.
Yes, I also want to add. You see, this thing that we are just saying, it's very simple, but trust me. See, I always tell people, if you want to study abroad, one, commitment. Two, it's very time consuming. You might get to a point you just be you like. I've seen so many people who get frustrated. Just applying for the school alone is just another job on its own. The visa, getting the visa, you get the school, you get everything. Getting the visa is also another frustration. So it takes like your commitment, your time, your dedication. It's a whole lot. Like before getting here, But trust me, when you get here, this is a land of opportunity. So you have to put in the work. Really, you have to really put in the work because they is getting recommendation letters, paying for application fees, writing personal statements. Because some people you request for recommendation letters from them, they will just you keep emailing them, messaging them, calling them. That is why you have to build rapport. And then with the recommendation letters, some schools will recommend, like will ask you to get recommendation letters from like your professors, your lecturers, and then the people that you have worked with. So please, anywhere you go, try and build rapport with people so that anytime you need them, they can come through for them. Don't go and be acting like you're the dogo. Yeah, no. In this world, we need each other. So when you're out there, make sure you treat everybody equally because you might surely need them when it comes to this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much to my well and able presenters as well as speakers who happened to join us tonight for the Study Abroad Summit. Mr. Ebenezer, Mr. Richard, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. Quickly into the chat box, I have a few questions. One from Alfred Colley. Alfred Colley says, if I'm on a full Pell grant, what out of pocket costs are not covered that surprises students, especially the non-citizens? I don't know if any of you would want to take that one. His question is if he's on full Pell grant, what out of pocket costs are not covered that surprises?
Alfred, I don't really know much about full Pell grants. Probably I have to read on it. But I know that if you are funded as a grad student in the US, that means that you have the 20-hour assistantship. Now, your 20-hour assistantship can be either for research or for teaching. 20-hour means that in some schools, when you are on 20 hours assistantship, you will not pay any tuition remission. That means that you are not going to pay any tuition to the school. You are not going to pay anything for health insurance, and so nothing related to that. What it also means is that when you are on assistantship, this is something that people don't know. So I always tell people that don't think much about what you'll be eating and all that. When you are on assistantship, your tuition is converted into in-state tuition, which means that you'll be paying the same amount that the national students are paying, right? So your school will cover that tuition for you. And at the same time, the school is going to give you some stipend, right? So that stipend, you can use it to cover your remaining stuff that you'll be doing, like maybe living expenses, your accommodation, and some other things that you may have come and encounter. So that is how assistantship works. You get a stipend, and at the end of the day, but in some schools too, you have to pay. The school cover part of your tuition, and then they will tell you that this is the remaining that you have to remit to the school. So when you apply to more than 5 schools or more than 1 school, when the I-20 comes, they give you an opportunity to know which school is required to do what and which school is covering your full tuition. If you're on a 10-hour assistantship, it's different. But if you're on 20-hour assistantship too, it's different. And the money you are going to be paying back into the school or not to the school. Yeah. Fire, you want to add something?
Yes, I think when we have time, we can delve into this TAG, GRS. There are a lot of assistantship out there, and they have like you have to break it down for people to really understand how we get to survive here. But with the Pell Grant, I know it's kind of covers like your tuition stuff, anything that has to do with your school. But if you are staying out of campus, I am not certain it will off-campus living expenses. I'm not certain the Pell Grant will cover that. I'm not too certain. It doesn't cover for like buying other things like your laptop for schools, so your transportation is just like basically just like assistantship where it covers your teaching stuff. And you should know that some schools have non-tuition fees that you have to pay. That is like for using the building, for the library. Even if you never pass there, you will still be charged. They have some schools have like well-being fees. There are a lot of fees that you might have to pay out of pocket. If you're lucky, some schools will cater for. But what I know about the Pell Grant is that, yeah, it's about 7,000 something. It depends on where you find yourself, but I know it doesn't cover anything that is outside your tuition. But that's the only information. But I guess if you need more, you should specifically ask the school about it, and I'm sure they would explain better. I think we need to have a whole session on like the assistantship and scholarship, that because it's not every assistantship or scholarship that you get that is really a scholarship. Some
Yeah, and there are those who also get fellowship and all that, and
yes,
each of them come with requirements. So whatever funding you have would have criteria you have to meet at the end of the day. Yeah.
Rightly so. Thank you very much, Eben and
Ebenezer and
Richard.
then Richard.
Yes, I would.
Yes, I
My
would.
last
My
question.
last
So maybe you
question.
may
So
want
maybe you
to
may want
ponder
to
over
ponder
it. It's
over
more of
it. It's more
an
of
insight
an
from all
insight
of you,
from
the
all
two
of
of
you,
you.
the two
What
of
is the
you. What is
situation
the
now in terms of
situation
the
now in
US,
terms
and
of
is it
US, and is it
advisable for people
advisable for
to
people to
apply for school
apply for
now
school
and
now
come into the
and come
US?
into
And
the
what
US?
is
And then
your
what
view on
is your
they
view on
applying to
they
other
applying to other
European countries as
European
well? I
countries
would
as well?
come
I
there,
would come
but
there, but
let's
let's
ponder over
just
it
ponder
while
over it
we
while
address the
we address the
question
question
from our
from
honorable
our honorable
participants.
participants.
I see
I
Bernice
see Bernice
did want to
did
find
want
out
to
whether there
find
are
out whether there
specific
are specific
databases or
databases
website
or
that
website that
with
with
open scholarship
open scholarship
opportunities, which
opportunities,
I am
which
sure
I'm
that
sure
Mr.
that
Richard
Mr.
has
Richard
given
has
the
given the
IDP
IDP
link as well. So
link as well.
Bernice,
So Bernice,
I think
I
yes,
think
that
yes that
if there are
if
more,
there are
please do
more,
share
please
with
do share
us,
with us,
Richard and then
Richard and
Ebenezer,
then
if there are
Ebenezer,
more
if there are more
websites that
websites that
have these
have these
scholarships,
proven
proven scholarship, and then
scholarship and then
funding
funding
opportunities. Please do
opportunities.
share
Please do
with
share
us in
with
the chat
us in the
box.
chat box.
Right.
Right.
Another question
Another question
from Juliana
from
says, "Can
Juliana
your
says, "Can
pastor
your
do
pastor do
recommendation letter for
recommendation
you?"
letter for you?"
This one,
This one,
let me
you
leave it
let me
for
leave it for
Aben or any one
Eben
of
or any
you. I
one of
think
you.
it's
I
pretty
think
much
it's pretty much
straightforward.
straightforward.
Well,
yeah,
sometimes.
I,
Okay, fire. Go ahead.
yeah, Richard, go ahead. I think it depends on in what capacity. It's did you work for your pastor? Did on what? Because mostly they will ask. I know most schools will ask either it has to be a professor, someone who taught you, or someone you worked in the professional space with. I don't know if there's any exception if like you are coming for a program that has to do with religious studies or something. But I guess that is what I know. I think Richard knows more about it.
So one thing I've learned is that your pastor can't really lie about you, right? Pastors, you know, pastors do not lie. So sometimes they see that as in, though they will say good things about you, but if it's the only option you have, I would say do it, but it should be your last resort too. But if you are coming to do, there are those who are here to do theology and all that. That is a good one. Your pastor can say, theology courses so far. I've known people who are coming to study theology and they go, they even get sponsorship. Like the church can write a letter there, they are sponsoring you, and then you go and then you get your scholarship. There are schools that have that kind of connection. Theology is one of the courses that people don't do, that sometimes gives you easy access to this. So if you are coming to study theology, your pastor can write recommendation for you. But if you are doing other courses too, he can or they can, but it should be your last resort too. Explore your place of work, your institution, depending on the number of years. And if all those fails, then you can explore your pastor's option. Because if you just leave school and nobody can talk about you in school, but a church that you only spend like maybe Sunday there is the only person that can talk about that's not a good. So explore the school, your school that you have finished, for someone to write recommendation for you, and also explore where you are working. But if you are not doing anywhere, where do you get the rest of the recommendation? So your pastor can become an alternative. So it depends your circumstances. That will determine who can recommend and who can.
Rightly so.
Rightly
Thank you
so.
very
Thank
much.
you
I'm
very much.
sure
I'm sure
that
that
answers the
answers the
question,
question,
Juliana, if
Juliana,
you
if
were with
you were
us
with us
on this one.
on this one.
We would move to
We would move
the
to the
other
other
question. Okay,
question.
Juliana,
Okay,
please go
Juliana,
ahead.
please
I
go
see your
ahead.
hand
I
up.
see your
Go
hand
ahead.
up. Go ahead.
Please, I'm sorry. It is I didn't hear the answer to my question properly. My network wasn't stable at that time, please. So if you can kindly come again, I'll be very grateful.
We're the one asking about the pasta bit. Juliana,
Yes, please.
please, we're the one asking whether a
Hello.
pastor can recommend for you.
Hello.
Yes, we're the one asking whether a pastor can recommend for you.
Hello. Yes, I'm the one. I'm the one, please.
Okay, so the answer is like it depends. And I said there are those who are coming to study theology. Of course, it's good your pastor can recommend for you. There are those who are also coming here, and then the church can write financial report for them or support letter for them. Okay, but I also say that if you just finish school and you need a recommendation, explore your school. And then also, if you are working for the past 5 years, explore your workplace. But sometimes at the workplace too, I know sometimes how it can be. If people know that you are doing travel abroad process, they may start looking at you somewhere. So sometimes where people work, they don't want to get recommendation from there. But if there is that one person you are close to at the workplace and then you can write recommendation, that would be great. But if not to, just explore your school first. And then if pastor becomes the only alternative, resort to it. But at least if you just completed school, make sure that one recommendation comes from your school.
Right. So,
Right.
Juliana, I'm
So,
sure you
Juliana, I'm
heard
sure
that
you
very
heard
much
that very
clear
much
if your
clear.
network
If
was
your
stable
network
this
was
time.
stable this time.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Right. So, I have
Right.
another
So I have
question
another
from
question
Miss
from
Bernice.
Miss
Miss Bernice
Bernice.
is
Miss Bernice
saying
is
that if
saying
we
that
get
if we get
rejected, what are the
rejected, what
top
are the
three
top
things
three
to
things to
improve
improve
before
before
reapplying?
reapplying?
Well, if you are rejected, what I ask students to do is it rejected for visa or just a school rejecting? If a school rejects you, reach out to one of the people, right? Maybe the program coordinator or program director, and just ask that, oh, I got a rejection notice, and I must be probably sure that there is something which I didn't do well in my application. I have interest in coming to study in your university because of these reasons. Is there a chance that you could share with me what went well in my application and what didn't go well, so that the next time I am applying, I can improve upon these things? These things I've worked over the years for people, and I know some people who got rejected, they even reach out to the school and say they accept the decision for the rejection. They only want to know if there is something they can improve upon the next time they apply to the school. All right. The school will say, well, we don't give individual responses to application. But some people too will be kind to tell you that, well, what happened was that you didn't highlight this in your application, you didn't highlight this in your application, you didn't highlight this, or we didn't see this, or we didn't see that. That is how I got to know that if you are able to teach, if you are able to have all your research, this stuff highlight on your CV, it's a winner, because someone got back to me or someone I assisted, we got to know that they were like, well, we look on your CV, we didn't see any teaching experience, but our master's program, all the international students we take, we want them to teach a class. But because you didn't highlight any teaching experience, we look forward for those who can teach. So imagine we didn't reach out, we wouldn't have known that, oh, teaching was one of the things that you need